This is SOSF. Alright, so we're gonna do something a little different today. I've basically taken 3 recent, real-deal interviews and mashed them all together. We're gonna have these 3 dudes have a virtual collision of minds. So, let's fire this thing up. Scene setting. Night falls. The buzz of a private industry summit has just faded. In the hotel's top-floor private lounge, firelight flickers in the fireplace, illuminating 3 familiar faces. Jensen Huang of NVIDIA, dressed in his signature leather jacket. Sam Altman of OpenAI, looking relaxed and focused. Jeff Bezos of Amazon, a deep meaning behind his smile. There are no spotlights, no recording devices, just 3 glasses of whiskey and a candid exchange about the future landscape of the next decade, the next century, and even further beyond. The dialogue thus begins in an informal, forward-looking, and intellectually stimulating atmosphere. 1. The beginning. Founder journeys and original intent. The starting point of this dialogue was neither cutting-edge technology nor complex business models, but something more fundamental, the driving force. The 3 leaders have vastly different backgrounds, yet a similar flame seems to burn within them. What shaped them, and why, after climbing to the apex of the world, do they still choose to gaze at the stars? 1.1. It's harder to be kind than it is to be clever. Jeff Bezos broke the silence first, swirling the amber liquid in his glass, his thoughts seemingly returning to that ranch in South Texas. I often think of my grandfather, he said slowly. He taught me the most important lesson of my life. I was about 10, sitting in my grandmother's car. She was a chain smoker, smoking the whole way, and the smell choked me. I had just heard a public service announcement on the radio that said every puff of a cigarette takes 2 minutes off your life. So, I, the presumptuous little clever kid, started calculating. He paused, a self-deprecating smile on his lips. I worked out the result, then proudly leaned forward from the back seat, patted my grandmother's shoulder, and announced that she had taken 7 years off her life due to smoking. I fully expected the adults to congratulate me for being so good at math and so clever. But what happened? My grandmother burst into tears. I was completely lost. My grandfather pulled the car over, and let me out. He was very calm, without a single word of blame, and just said to me, "Jeff, one day you'll understand that it's harder to be kind than it is to be clever." Bezos's gaze swept over the other 2. That sentence has stayed with me ever since. Technology itself is clever, but how we apply it, we can choose kindness. Many people are obsessed with short-term business maneuvering, but when you adopt long-term thinking, 10, 20 years, you realize that those seemingly clever short-term tricks are meaningless. Long-term thinking can align business decisions with humane values, because ultimately, you are dealing with people, whether they are customers, partners, or family. You want to build a relationship that can last a lifetime. 1.2. Crazy computer nerd. Jeff, this choice you mentioned between kindness and cleverness is almost the core dilemma faced by all tool creators, Sam Altman interjected, clearly touched by Bezos' story. My starting point wasn't so philosophical. It was more of a primal obsession. I was the crazy nerd you see in the movies, firmly believing that the ultimate clever tool, AGI, could be designed to be kind enough from the start. The question is, how? He added with a laugh. I've been like this since I was little. I grew up in the suburbs of St. Louis, with beautiful tree-lined streets. Everything was quiet, but my world was in the elementary school computer room. Computers back then were awesome. You could immediately get hands-on, programming was easy to learn, and it was full of infinite possibilities and fun. I was obsessed with science, math, computers, and sci-fi, everything. So, when I later had the opportunity to found OpenAI, my personal motivation was actually very pure. I believed then, and I still believe now, that if we could build AGI and ensure it becomes a net good force in the world, it would be one of the most exciting, positive, and impactful things anyone could ever do. This is perhaps the engineering realization of what you call kindness. Our choices determine whether the tool ultimately serves humanity or merely showcases cold cleverness. 1.3. The cornerstone of the American dream. Jensen Huang, who had been listening quietly, joined the discussion, offering a unique perspective. For me, the starting point of all this was the American dream, he said. I am myself an immigrant. My parents brought me here precisely to pursue this dream. Therefore, for me, immigration is the foundation of the American dream. Without it, there would be no me today, and no NVIDIA. His tone was full of sincerity. This personal background deeply influences our company culture. That is why I firmly support the H-1B visa policy and am willing to cover the high fees for our employees. Because I believe that the success of the company is inseparable from the world's best talent. The value we create will eventually be given back to the society that accepted us. The original intentions of the 3 founders, kindness, being a net good, and gratitude, intertwined, setting the tone for the dialogue. So, Armed with such intentions, how did they gradually build their grand visions into today's business empires? 2. Midsection. The art and philosophy of building. From a life-changing lesson, to a crazy nerd stream, to the hope of an immigrant family, the dialogue naturally shifted to more practical topics: how to build a company. The three leaders shared their core philosophies on establishing and managing organizations, discussing the challenges ranging from chaotic startup phases to building vast ecosystems. 2.1. From an academic lab in the wilderness to an accidental consumer company. The process of building OpenAI was completely an accidental journey, Sam Altman admitted. In the beginning, we were literally an academic research lab lost in the wilderness. We had no business model, not even a sketch of one. At that time, the transformer architecture didn't even exist. Our work then was making reinforcement learning, RL, agents play video games. We thought maybe we could just be a research lab forever. He recalled the days after ChatGPT launched, a complex expression on his face. That period was absolutely crazy. Everyone internally was shocked, and our servers were crashing every day. The user volume peaked higher every day. Every time the traffic fell at night, people thought, it's over. That was just a viral moment. But the next day's peak would always be higher. Because I had coached companies like Airbnb and Dropbox through their own burst periods at YC, I looked at that curve and thought, oh man, I know what's going to happen here. I've seen this movie a bunch of times. Honestly, he threw up his hands, I never intended to run a large consumer internet company. This was truly not what I was signing up for. What I wanted was to run an AGI research lab. But the opportunity was thrust upon us, and we had to seize it. In just 6 months, we went from basically not a company to a whole big company. It was a crazy time. 2.2. Stubborn on the vision, flexible on the details. Jeff Bezos deeply resonated with Altman's experience. This is the essence of invention. I call this process wandering. Invention and creation are inherently inefficient, he explained. If you know exactly where you are going, it's not exploration. You have to admit that on the path to finding the mountaintop, you cannot see the clear trail. You must wander and explore. This may feel very inefficient, but it is necessary. Of course, once you have clarity on the goal, for example, how to execute a known process, then you need to become extremely efficient. This is what I often say: be stubborn on the vision and flexible on the details. He further elaborated, long-term thinking helps you identify what will not change. For instance, at Amazon, we know customers will always want lower prices and faster deliveries. 10 years from now, no customer will say to me, Jeff, I love Amazon, I just wish you delivered a little more slowly. These customer needs, based on human nature, are stable, and you can build a durable strategy around these unchanging needs. Technology and competitors will change, but those core needs will not. That is your compass when you wander. 2.3. Building the entire stack. However, Jensen Huang interjected, offering a different view from a systems engineer's perspective. The wandering you speak of is a luxury. It relies on the stability of the stack beneath it. We cannot wander in chip design. That must be a relentless advancement. Wandering happens at the application layer. For us, the philosophy is less about wandering and more about laying a reliable railroad in the wilderness so that others can wander safely. He then articulated his building philosophy. Our strategy is far more than just selling chips. We are building the entire AI infrastructure, from CPUs, GPUs, to networking chips, switches, and all the software. You must build the entire stack. He detailed his view of the entire AI industry landscape. AI has several layers: energy, chips, infrastructure, models, and applications. Every layer is critical. This is why you see us making certain investments, he explained. For example, investing in CoreWeave, or our cooperation with OpenAI. We invested in Shy, and my only regret is not giving him more money. You know, almost every project Elon is involved in, you want to be a part of it. We do this to accelerate the growth of the entire ecosystem. We want every link in the ecosystem to grow rapidly, because only then can our industry truly explode. From seizing unexpected opportunities, to balancing vision and details, to building a complete industrial ecosystem, the building philosophies of the three men have different focuses but lead to the same destination. However, this new world they are building is attracting global capital and attention at an unprecedented speed, which leads to the next question. 3. Core. The AI gold rush, bubble or revolution. The dialogue moved into the core topic. Is the massive global investment and fervent enthusiasm for AI a rerun of the 2000 dot-com bubble, or the prelude to a genuinely profound industrial revolution? The three figures at the eye of the storm offered their judgments. 3.1. Industrial bubble and fundamentals. I tend to draw an analogy between the current AI frenzy and the 2000 dot-com bubble. Jeff Bezos' opening was somewhat surprising. I remember clearly that when the internet bubble burst, Amazon's stock price quickly dropped from $113 to $6. Shareholders were upset, employees were nervous. But at the same time, I looked at the company's internal data. Our customer numbers were increasing every month, gross profits were increasing every month, and all business metrics continued to improve. This shows that the market valuation can be disconnected from the company's fundamentals. He made a crucial distinction. I believe what we are experiencing now is more like an industrial bubble, which is different from a pure financial bubble. In an industrial bubble, even if many companies ultimately fail, the infrastructure and societal benefits they leave behind remain. Just like back then, many companies that laid fiber optic cables went bankrupt, but the fiber remained, and we are still using it today. Or like the biotech bubble of the 90s, many companies failed, but we did gain some life-saving drugs. AI is the same, he concluded. The underlying technology is real. It will affect every industry. Even if the valuations of many AI startups today are outrageously high, and even if many of them fail, the technological progress they drive and the infrastructure they build will bring enormous, lasting benefits to society. 3.2. Two exponentials happening at the same time. Jeff is right, but the current situation is also vastly different from 2000, Jensen Huang added. In 2000, the total size of internet companies might have been only $30 or $40 billion. Today, AI infrastructure must first upgrade existing hyperscale data centers, which is a massive installed market already worth $2.5 trillion in business. We are upgrading upon a multi-trillion-dollar construction scale. He then explained the double exponential phenomenon of current demand. We are seeing two exponentials happening at the same time. First, the capabilities of the AI models themselves are improving exponentially. They have evolved from simple one-shot answers to being able to perform reasoning and thinking. Because the models are so good, this leads to the second exponential, the exponential growth of market demand. He used Oracle, which recently caused market concern, as an example. Some people question Oracle's low cloud business margins, but this is normal for the early stages of a new product cycle. Margins are naturally lower before scale, but they will make a lot of money in the future. 3.3. 1 billion daily active user site versus state-of-the-art model. Sam Altman, speaking from the perspective of a model company, shared the unique dilemma he faces. We are a perfect product of what Jeff calls the industrial bubble, he said with a laugh. We were initially that lab in the wilderness with no business model, surviving on this bubble like exploratory funding. Now, I constantly grapple with a strategic trade-off. Which is more valuable, a site with 1 billion daily active users, or the world's most advanced model? He posed the question and quickly gave his answer. I think it is the 1 billion user site. This brings us to the core choice of our business model, he continued. Should we continue to deepen the API business, allowing developers to build applications based on our models? Or should we go all in on building our own consumer products? I firmly believe that in the future, we will have a handful of multi-billion user products, and the subscription model is currently our core. Some ask for my view on the advertising model, he said frankly. I kind of just don't like ads that much, but I am open to other models. For instance, many people use our tools for e-commerce research. If we could collect a 2% affiliate fee from purchases found through deep research, without compromising the fairness of the results, that would be a cool model. That excites me more than traditional advertising. From the nature of the bubble to the structure of demand, and the exploration of business models, the full picture of this gold rush gradually became clear. However, setting aside business, the technology itself is leading us to a deeper question. 4. Deep thoughts. The nature of intelligence and the future. As the dialogue deepened, the topic inevitably touched on more philosophical levels. The three leaders began discussing how they define intelligence, the ultimate form of AI they foresee, and how this technology will affect humanity's most valuable trait, creativity. 4.1. General intelligence and specialized intelligence. Jensen Huang first provided his classification framework. I believe two types of intelligence exist, he articulated clearly. One is general intelligence, and the other is specialized intelligence. Consumer value lies in general intelligence, while the true value for enterprises and companies is in specialized intelligence. He used a vivid analogy. It's like how we hire engineers at NVIDIA. I want them to be generally intelligent, with solid fundamentals, able to learn anything. But once they join the company, we train them to become highly specialized intelligence, enabling them to reach the extreme in specific fields. I believe AI development will follow the same path. General models are the foundation, but true commercial value will be realized in specialized models that solve specific industry problems. 4.2. AGI, Agents, and Beautiful Hallucination. Jensen's framework is very useful. But the word everyone is currently obsessed with, AGI, is already an almost completely devalued term, Sam Altman confessed. Everyone has a different definition for it. I prefer to discuss agents that can autonomously complete tasks. He offered an interesting view contrary to mainstream opinion. We shouldn't try to eliminate the model's hallucinations entirely. When we need creativity, hallucination is actually a good thing. If you want deterministic results, you should use a database. The magic of AI is that it can create things you didn't expect. The real challenge is, how do you get models to be precise when accuracy is needed, and generate beautiful hallucinations when creativity is desired? As for whether AI can truly create new things, he cited one of his favorite books, The Beginning of Infinity. The book has a beautiful argument that creativity is essentially just the continuous modification and iteration of existing knowledge. You see something, modify it a little. Someone else sees your modification, and modifies it again. From this perspective, AI is fully capable of creation. 4.3. Civilizational abundance comes from our inventions. Jeff Bezos provided an endnote to this discussion from a grander historical and civilizational perspective. Civilizational abundance comes from our inventions, he stated. 10,000 years ago, someone invented the plow, and we all became richer because of it. AI is the plow of our era. It is a tool that can enormously increase civilizational abundance. It will change everything. Many people are anxious about the arrival of superintelligence, worrying that humans will lose the meaning of life. I totally disagree, he added. I recommend everyone read a sci-fi series, Ian Banks's Culture series. It offers a very interesting and hopeful perspective on the utopian coexistence between humanity and artificial intelligence. From the definition of intelligence to the nature of creativity, and the future of civilization, this intellectual journey eventually turned its gaze to the real world, a global landscape full of competition and opportunity. 5. Outlook, Global Race and the Starry Ocean. In the final part of the dialogue, the leader's vision went beyond their companies and industries, focusing on a grander picture. The global AI competition, especially the rivalry between China and the US, and the vaster starry ocean beyond Earth itself. 5.1. The true meaning of winning the AI race. Where are we in the AI race with China? That depends on which layer of the AI stack you are talking about. Jensen Huang provided a detailed analysis. On the energy front, China is well ahead. On the chip front, we, the US, are way ahead. In infrastructure and models, both sides are right there. Notably, their open-source models are well ahead of us. And on the application layer, their society is very quick in adopting new technology, which is an area I am quite concerned about. He then proposed a subtle and intelligent strategy. For the US to win the AI race, we cannot just hold on to the most advanced chips. Our ultimate goal must be to make the American tech stack the global standard. This means that developers, whether they are in the US or China, are building on our platform. The Chinese market accounts for 30% of the global technology industry, he emphasized. You cannot easily walk away from this market. If we preclude American technology from China, they will be forced to use other tech stacks. This essentially concedes the rest of the world to everybody else. We need a nuanced strategy, both ensuring that the US has the most advanced technology earliest, and winning global AI developers and markets. 5.2. Open source, competition, and responsibility. Sam Altman supplemented this from the perspective of product competition. We indeed learned a lot from products like DeepSeek. The lesson for us was primarily not about the model's capability, but that they put a frontier model in a free tier and showcased the chain of thought, which fascinated users. That was a good wake-up call. He revealed an important signal. Frankly, I am seriously considering open sourcing our models. This is both a competitive strategy and a way to return to our original mission. Stay tuned. Regarding regulation, his attitude was equally clear. I believe regulation should target the very frontier, most powerful models, rather than imposing burdens on the entire industry. I am very concerned about the risk of regulatory capture, where existing large companies use regulation to stifle innovation and competition. 5.3. The moon is a gift from the universe. Finally, Jeff Bezos drew everyone's attention beyond Earth. The moon is a gift from the universe, his eyes shining. Its gravity is only 1/6 of Earth's, meaning the energy required to lift mass off the moon's surface is about 30 times less than launching it from Earth. This makes it the perfect stepping stone to the rest of the solar system. He detailed Blue Origin's grand blueprint. We are developing storable liquid hydrogen fuel, which will completely transform deep space exploration. We are also researching how to directly manufacture solar cells from lunar regolith on the moon's surface. In the next 10-20 years, we will build gigantic gigawatt data centers in space, because solar power is available 24/7 there. These data centers will be cheaper than terrestrial ones. The ultimate vision, he concluded, is to use space resources to make Earth better, and eventually realize the dream of millions of people living in space. From geopolitical maneuvering, to the vitality of the open-source community, to the development of the entire solar system, the scale of this dialogue was stretched to its limit. Before concluding, the topic returned to the most personal level. 6. Conclusion. Final reflections. After discussing the grand narratives of technology, business, and geopolitics, the three guests shared their final thoughts on personal growth and the meaning of life, bringing this profound dialogue to a warm and powerful close. 6.1. Advice for graduates. Sam Altman was asked what advice he would give to graduating high school seniors. Tactically, it's simple. Get really good at using AI tools. Just as the obvious tactical advice when I graduated was to get good at coding, this is the new version of that. On a more general level, he continued, I suggest cultivating resilience and adaptability. At the same time, learn to understand what other people want and how to be useful to people. These soft skills, regardless of how the world changes, will be your most valuable assets. 6.2. The meaning of work. Jensen and Huang discussed a unique and realistic problem. How to maintain the team's motivation when many employees have already achieved financial independence. My purpose in working is not for money, it hasn't been for a long time, he said. My job is to create the conditions for amazing people to be able to do their life's work. Money is just a byproduct of doing great work. It is not the purpose itself. As long as we remain focused on the meaning and mission of the work, the team's passion will never extinguish. 6.3. Returning to original intent. Jeff Bezos concluded the entire dialogue with his life philosophy. It's harder to be kind than it is to be clever, he reiterated his grandfather's teaching. And, always maintain long-term thinking. Finally, he quoted a belief he deeply holds, do you know who is undefeated? It is reality. Reality wins every time. It's completely undefeated. This sentence is crucial for all entrepreneurs. You must respect reality and remain humble, because no matter how grand your dreams are, you ultimately have to build them in the real world. The firelight in the fireplace gradually dimmed, but the light of the future in the eyes of the three titans grew brighter. This dialogue had no final conclusion because it was itself the beginning of an exploration. In a new era full of transformation and uncertainty, their reflections, ambition, and foresight undoubtedly light a beacon for all fellow travelers. See you next time.